Welcome back to Truth Tellers Mike. Welcome to the spiritually devoted, the prayerful, the discerning, the seekers, the seers, the healers, the empaths, the mystics, the truth tellers, the sacred souls, the spiritually sensitive, the deeply reflective, and those who have committed themselves to walking with wisdom, reverence, integrity, and spiritual discipline. This video lesson, we're going to discuss breaking generational when you decide that the pain will not continue through you. Because there's a moment in the development of a human being when you realize something. Not everything inside you began with you. Some of your fears were taught. Some of your reactions were rehearsed in your household long before you understood what you were watching. Some of the ways you learned to love and apologize and disappear and tolerate disrespect, avoid confrontations, distrust affection, fear success, or sacrifice yourself were handed to you by people who had inherited those very same tendencies from someone else. And that is where breaking a generational wound becomes difficult, because you're not merely changing a behavior, you are also questioning an inheritance. And as people, we are loyal to what is familiar, even when what is familiar hurts us. Think about that. A child does not initially ask, is this emotional environment of my family healthy? But the child asks, what must I become to survive here and remain loved? That's a completely different question. And whatever answer the child discovers can follow that person for decades. The child adapts before the adult understands. Suppose you grow up in a family where anger is unpredictable. You become exceptionally good at reading faces. Suppose affection disappears whenever someone is disappointed with you. You learn that love must be earned. Suppose speaking truth creates conflict. You then learn silence. And suppose everyone praises the child who requires the least. You become self-sufficient far too early. Suppose the adults around you continually sacrifice themselves and call it love. You may eventually confuse suffering with devotion. Now here's the problem. Those adaptations can work. That's precisely why they're difficult to abandon. They may have helped the child survive the family, but what protects you at 7 can imprison you at 37. The adult enters friendships, marriages, workplaces, churches, and communities, carrying rules developed inside circumstances that no longer exist. But the adult asks, why do I keep ending up here? Because part of you is still solving an old problem. Generational pain does not always look like pain. Generational wounds are not always transmitted through any form of cruelty. Sometimes they are transmitted through ordinary sentences. Don't embarrass the family. Keep family business in the family. You know how your father is. That's just how your mother talks. Be the bigger person. Don't make trouble. Family comes first. Those statements can sound reasonable, but depending on the situation, they can teach something dangerous. Protect the system before protecting the truth. And when that principle operates for generations, the person who finally tells the truth can appear to be the problem. Why? Because dysfunctional families can become organized around accommodation. One person explodes, everyone else learns how to provoke them. One person manipulates, and everyone else learns how to surrender. One person refuses responsibility, and everyone else learns how to compensate. Then eventually, someone says no. And suddenly, everyone is uncomfortable. Not necessarily because the person saying no is wrong, but because the boundary can reveal how much everyone else has been tolerating. The cycle breaker may initially look like the troublemaker. This is one of the strangest experiences of becoming psychologically mature. You can become healthier and simultaneously become less convenient. You stop laughing at the wounds. You stop pretending disrespect is humor. You stop accepting apologies without changed behavior. You stop explaining yourself 15 times. You stop confusing forgiveness with unlimited permission. And you stop rescuing adults from situations created by their own decisions. And some people will interpret your development as a rejection. They may say, you've changed, and perhaps you have. The important question is not whether or not you've changed. The question is, what have you changed into? More truthful, more responsible, more compassionate without becoming exploitable, more capable of saying no without hatred, more capable of saying yes without resentment, more willing to examine yourself, more willing to admit when you're wrong. Then change may be precisely what was required. Honoring your family does not require repeating everything they taught you. Breaking generational wounds does not require you to hate your parents. It does not require you to hate your extended family. That's just how they operate, for whatever the reason. But it does not require constructing a story in which everyone before you was evil and you are enlightened. That's childish in another direction. Your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, they were children once. So were your grandparents. Because people can pass down what wounded them without consciously intending to wound anyone. And then there are those that pass down what wounded them in order to hurt everyone. A father who never received affection may struggle to give it. A mother who survived instability may become controlling because control feels safe. A grandfather raised in poverty may teach his children to fear spending money. A grandmother who survived being betrayed may unknowingly teach her daughters to distrust intimacy. The phrase of all men cheat. Understanding that does not excuse destructive conduct, but it introduces something necessary: compassion without denial. You can say, I understand why you became this way, and still say, it cannot continue through me. Those two statements can coexist. You must be able to separate gratitude from what is fake, what is imitation. You can be grateful for your family without reproducing every family custom. You can honor your ancestors without reenacting their suffering. You can love your parents without inheriting their unfinished conflicts. You can appreciate what someone gave you while refusing what harmed you. Because otherwise, loyalty becomes another you. What do I mean? It is not the real you. And this other version of you in which you were raised can perpetuate misery indefinitely. Perhaps your grandmother survived by never speaking. You may honor her survival by finally speaking. Perhaps your grandfather survived by suppressing grief. You may honor his life by learning how to grieve without destroying yourself. Perhaps your mother gave everything away until nothing remained for herself. You may honor her generosity by learning that love requires boundaries. Perhaps your father worked until his body collapsed because he believed usefulness determined his value. It made him a full man, a man capable of providing for his family. You may honor his sacrifice by refusing to teach your children that exhaustion proves your worth, when it actually means you require rest. You need to take a step back. Sometimes honoring those who came before you means finishing what suffering prevented them from finishing. They may have never lived in their potential, all because they were living inside of wounds. But be careful, not everything is your family's fault. At some point, continually explaining your behavior through childhood becomes another prison. Yes, you inherited things. Yes, people wounded you. Yes, circumstances shaped you. But adulthood eventually presents a terrifying privilege. You can participate in your own reconstruction. That reconstruction is transformation. And that means you must examine yourself. Where have you become controlling? Where do you manipulate? Where do you punish people for wounds they didn't create? Where do you demand reassurance instead of developing courage? Where do you use your history as permission to mistreat someone? Where have you become the very thing you promised yourself you would never become? And that's difficult. But without that examination as the cycle breaker, you are living without a purpose. And identities do not heal families. Change conduct does. Scripture presents generational responsibility in a remarkably nuanced way. Ezekiel 18 rejects the idea that children are automatically morally condemned for the wrongdoing of their parents. The chapter repeatedly emphasizes personal responsibility before God. You may receive circumstances you did not choose, but you are not required to become morally identical to those circumstances. Romans 12, verse 2 speaks of transformation through the renewing of the mind. And consider what transformation implies. Something previously accepted must become examinable. Something automatic must become conscious. Something inherited must be tested. You begin asking, is this actually true? Not did my family believe it? Not has everyone always done it? Not will people become angry if I change it? But is it true? Is it good? And does it produce righteous fruit? And that is a more demanding standard. Somebody has to absorb the cost of change. People love talking about generational healing as though it is beautiful from beginning to end. It is not. Someone has to become the first person who does things differently. And the first person pays an unusual price. You may have to learn emotional skills no one modeled. You may have to establish financial habits no one taught. You may have to learn healthy conflict after growing up around explosion, avoidance. You may have to learn affection after emotional distance. Learn boundaries after being taught unlimited obligation. Become a healthy parent without ever having seen healthy parenting. You are becoming and building with incomplete instructions, and that is difficult work. But consider the alternative. If no one does it, the womb simply changes names and moves into another generation. Grandfather's rage becomes father's intimidation. Father's intimidation becomes son's emotional withdrawal. Son's emotional withdrawal becomes granddaughter's fear of rejection. Different behavior, same unresolved wound traveling through time until someone interrupts it. You may never receive an apology, and this is perhaps one of the hardest truths to accept. Healing cannot depend entirely on the person who wounded you understanding what they did. They may never understand. They may even deny it, minimize it, rewrite history, or blame you, or die before the conversation ever happens. If your freedom requires their confession, then psychologically, they still possess extraordinary power over your future. Sometimes you have to be strong enough or have settled in your spirit enough to say, I don't need any explanation. I've seen enough. I don't need an apology. God has got me. Because what happened mattered, but what happens next belongs partly to you. And that is not pretending the past was acceptable, by no means. It is refusing to give the past unlimited authority in your transformation. The generation after you may never understand what you prevented. If you do this properly, your children may never fully comprehend what you saved them from. They may think emotional safety is normal. Good. They may believe fathers apologize. Good. They may believe mothers can say no without guilt. Good. They may believe disagreement doesn't mean rejection. Good. They may believe love does not require an individual to allow mistreatment and feel unseen. Good. They may even believe home is where truth can be spoken without terror. Good. They may never know how unnatural those things initially felt to you. They may never see the battles behind your decisions. And perhaps that is part of the victory. What was extraordinary for you becomes ordinary for them. That's how a family changes. Your ancestors' pain does not have to become your children's personality. So breaking generational wounds is not about declaring yourself spiritually superior to your bloodline. It's about responsibility. You look backward with enough compassion to understand. You look inward with enough courage to confront, and you look forward with enough love to change. You can say to yourself, the abandonment reaches me, but I will not distribute it. The rage reaches me, but I will not make my children afraid of my footsteps. The shame reaches me, but I will not teach another generation to despise themselves. The silence reaches me, but truth will have a voice in my house. The manipulation reaches me, but love will not require surrendering dignity. And perhaps This is what generational healing actually looks like. Not perfection, not pretending you were never wounded, not becoming incapable of making mistakes, but becoming conscious enough that your wounds has not become automatically handed to innocent people. Because eventually someone in the bloodline has to become responsible enough to say, I may not have started this, but with God's help, I will stop carrying it forward. And when that happens, you have done more than healing something in yourself. You have changed what becomes possible for people who have not even been born yet. The wound came through generations. The wisdom can too. Thank you for visiting my channel. May your soul be blessed, stay covered, stay conscious, and stay undefeated. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.